Hi, welcome to Cycling Inform's weekly updates. My name's David Heatley and here's what we're going to be covering in this week's tips. I'll be talking about some questions that we've had on our Facebook fan page and also talking about how to calculate your max heart rate. But first, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. So here are your Facebook questions answered. Now, Kevin's asked me the question, how do you climb better? Now, it's a question I get asked a lot. And the first thing I say to people is lose weight. So if you're carrying a few extra kilograms, then if you're able to lose those, you'll climb better regardless of any improvement in your fitness. So losing weight is one of the key things you can do to help improve your climbing. But how about developing your climbing fitness? So there's two things that you really need to work on in improving your climbing ability, and one is managing the torque that you're having to develop while climbing. Now, this is different from riding along the flats. When you're riding along the flats, you'll be doing 100 RPM, and generally the torque will be not as high as if you're climbing. Now, I've mentioned this before in a few of my other video tips. So it's important that you do get out and climb. Now, if you're not able to do that, then riding into a strong headwind at a lower cadence, somewhere around 60 or 70 RPM, can help with your hill climbing. Now, I'm not saying that you should do that all the time because you still need to work on your technique and stuff, but that is quite a good substitute if you don't have some really good hills around your area. Now, the other thing I recommend, and it's something that we work on all the time with our coaching clients, is developing your intermediate muscle fiber. Now, this is the muscle fiber that has endurance qualities as well as good power qualities. It's not obviously as enduring as an endurance fiber, and it's not as powerful as our really strong, powerful muscle fibers, but it's an intermediate fiber and it develops good qualities in both of those aspects. So how we do this is that we work on doing intervals and doing rides out on the road at threshold. So around sort of the bottom end to the top end of E3 in your heart rate zone and also in your power zones. Now, if you don't know what E3 is on a heart rate or a power zone, check out our website. We've got some fantastic information. And in fact, we do have a free download, free report that discusses power and heart rate zones. So that's available on our website as well. Now, around the cadence. Now, cadence is a subject that I love talking about, and I've got this fantastic video that we did at the boot camp that I'll be releasing soon on our website that talks a little bit about cadence. So if you've signed up to our newsletter, you'll get an update when that's posted. But what I will talk about here is that obviously with hill climbing it's related to your gear ratios, and a lot of people are migrating over to compact cranks. Now, the reason for migrating over to compact cranks is that they give you the ability to be able to ride up hills at a higher cadence, and that helps save your legs, because just like for the same reasons that when you go to a gym and lift a heavy weight, you know, you're relying more on your strength rather than your cardiovascular fitness to drive you up the hill. So by riding on compact cranks, that helps keep your cadence reasonably high. Now, the cadences that we're talking about here are around the sort of 75 plus cadences. Now, if you don't have the proper gearing, then you may find that this cadence may drop to 60 or 65. And look, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you've got the strength to drive over it. But for the longer climbs, it's important that you keep your cadence fairly high, and I recommend people ride, you know, around the 70 to 75 plus cadences on climbs if they're a longer climb. So calculating max heart rate. Now, I've got a great couple of articles on this on my website on how to calculate max heart rate, and they give specific protocols that we use for calculating max heart rate. But there are a couple of simple ways of doing it. The first one is that you can go through your cycling data and just pick out what your max heart rate has been in the last 3 or 4 months. Now, you need to make sure that your max heart rate is an accurate max heart rate, because sometimes heart rate monitors do get a bit glitchy, especially when you're riding around power poles and big overhead wires. They sometimes get a little bit glitchy and they throw up some fairly random numbers that are quite large. But generally you want to look for some consistent max heart rate. So that's one way of getting your max heart rate. Very simple way, of course. Now, another way of getting your max heart rate, and it's one of the protocols, is that you would get onto a climb that has 3 levels or a shorter climb, and you would sprint up to the first part of that climb, relax a little bit, sprint up to the next part of the climb, relax a little bit, and then do the final sprint. And on that third final sprint, you'll be pretty tired, and you should see your max heart rate come up. Now, obviously, you don't want to do that straight out of your driveway. You want to warm up first for about 20 minutes, and you may have to do it a couple of times to get that intensity build up before you hit your max heart rate. Now the other area that I see max heart rates is in criterium racing. Usually in the last 3 laps you've got enough intensity built during that period, and then if you've sprinted at the end you'll pretty much see your max heart rate or something pretty close to it. So there you go, there's 3 ways of getting your max heart rate. Hope they help.